Greetings. Ani, bonjour, kwe, tanzi, scano. It's Catherine and Brian at Moonstarlodge in South Central Ontario near Georgian Bay, bringing in our 6th year now here on YouTube some readings, and we're working on the week of, I had to write it down, November 10th to 16th. I asked Brian like 6 times, and I can't hold it because that's very left brain, and I'm already way out in the galaxies. Today is November 1st, even though the reading is for the next week. I find when the spiritual energy is as high as it is right now, and we're building to a perigee full moon of this particular grandmother of the 11th moon cycle, walks tall woman. It's just quite incredible energy. So I did mention the perigee new moon in last week's video. Excuse me. The interesting part of all of this is we are in the 11th moon cycle, but because of the way moon cycles work, they're not all exactly the same length of time. It depends on where they are in their orbit around the Earth. It's not a perfect circle. Obviously, it's elliptical. That's why we have perigees and apogees. And so the alignments do impact us. So a perigee full moon means that we are the closest we can be to the moon, or it's the closest to us it can be. So it amplifies a lot of these very intense Piscean and Scorpio watery emotional things. It's also the time of ancestors. So as it's November 1st that I'm doing this, this is the second day of Samhain, or Halloween. In the ancient times, it was 3 days long. Churches stepped in and called today All Saints' Day and tomorrow All Souls' Day, but I'm just not hardly in this dimension the last few days, partly because of the full moon coming, partly because of all the ancestral work. So if you consider what Samhain is, it is pretty much the exact midpoint within a day between autumn equinox and winter solstice. So we are clearly moving through energies that change rapidly with this time period. We are working with ancestors, and the shadow times as we lose the light is inevitable. Once we hit the first moon cycle of 2026, we are into the moon cycle of talks with relations. So that's both our relations that we cohabit with in this third dimension, but also with the ancestors. It is a deep time of shadow work as the shadows get longer and the days shorter in the sense of the amount of light we receive. So in pulling decks, you'll see carryover from what we call Halloween right up to winter solstice. It becomes more festive at that time as we come together with our third dimensional relations and the concept of gratitude. That's the grandmother's name for the last moon cycle of this year that covers that time. It's Gives Praise Woman. So we will talk about her in next week's video. So the decks I'm going to show you now are the same decks for the 10th through the 16th and the 17th through to the 23rd. And in the middle of that week, we have that new moon. So we have the embroidered graveyard, and it's by Alicia Vamvukakis. I use it a lot. The Ethereal Tarot, and this is by a Canadian fellow out in BC, and we'll talk more about him. He calls himself Vixen. So I didn't have that one out of the box yet. So the Ethereal Tarot by Vixen. We have the Call of the Morrigan. This is a scary tarot, and I really hope the trolls on Google don't pull the video because of some of the imagery. It shouldn't with today's card. We have the Dreamkeeper's Tarot for this time. Voices of the Souls and Cries of the Souls. They are by Isabella Surf. The Memento Mori mini deck. The author is... It will be in the notes for the video. I can't see an author on the box. We have the Mirror Oracle companion deck to the Marigold Oracle. And as often over the years as I've made the Marigold Tarot the principal tarot, or I mean the Ancestor Tarot, this time it's the principal tarot for this week. We have First Aid for the Broken Heart. My Jenga pile appears to be wanting to fall down. And last but not least, the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. And this is by Victoria Mosley. There we go. So, I've got my coffee. I am... oh, I forgot this little guy. The Ghastly Lenormand. This is by... It'll have to be in the notes. Okay. So November 10th to 16th. Put that over there as well. I have to spread out. I've got a table that's probably 4 feet long by about 2 feet wide. But when they ask for all these decks, it gets crowded very quickly. So I'm now just taking a moment to spread out. So when my arms get flapping here, we will be okay. All right. So, Brian, you can flip to the cards. So here's our tarot deck and some of the other decks used. Not all of them would fit. 3 of Cups. Now as I pulled it out, it came out upside down, and I asked Brian to douse whether I was to use reversals. I do read reversals, but it's not necessary when it's in a contextual reading. They said no, this was not meant to be reversed. So this is about connecting with people collectively having a joyful experience. Something is there to celebrate. And that's a auspicious beginning. It's interesting because the voices of the souls is talking about secrets. And this hand from the ancients is dangling a pendulum. These are fascinating card decks, by the way. The voices of souls and the cries of souls, because they really pack a punch, and it's very hard to kind of soothe oneself around an alternative message. So the message here is one of trust. You're trusting people to cavort and play and let your hair down, but you're possibly not trusting spirit with your secrets. And this can also not be spirit. This can be earthly folk. So you're a good time and whatever, but you may be pulling back a little bit when it comes to personal or secretive information. Our higher self knows everything, but our guides and teachers need us to communicate. Our angels need us to communicate. So in order to kind of bridge what's going on in the earthly life, it would be made better if you trusted the universe enough to communicate, meditate, speak to, do ceremony with the ancestors at this time. Angels don't have free will. They can't interfere. They can't do anything for us without permission. Our ancestors may or may not be able to do anything for us because of boundaries, where they're at in their journey or their capacity. But it's still important to let go of some of what we carry like a burden to the ancestors here. The Five of Rings is next. And this goes from frolic to feeling completely left out. This is the bridge, really. This is the bridge. You won't feel left out, and you will be pulled to the level of emotional function if you connect with ancestors. Now this card, the eel, comes from the call of the Morrigan. She's a queen of death, is the Morrigan, and this eel is surrounding a sword. It's about making sure that what needs to happen happens. From a prophetic point of view, you know, when eels are caught, certain parts of their anatomy are quite poisonous and other parts are not. It's about endings, and it's about accessing what we need to make things shift. This eel is resisting going back in the water. It's holding on, clutching the sword, and it's got its back to the setting sun in the west. Transition is happening, but if you hold on to your secrets, it's going to be harder to let go. So then we get to the Eight of Swords, which is just validating here that not letting spirit work with us, because west is the position of spirit where we go to at the end of physical life. The Eight of Swords is being trapped in our own mental cage, but we really aren't trapped. It's us trapping ourselves. It's not seeing the bigger picture. We might have to loop back here and come back to these friends who we trust for frolic, but haven't necessarily trusted with our secrets. This can be family too. It doesn't have to just be buddies. So we will unstick ourselves from these three positions. The next three positions suggest that we do. we collectively pull up our big person panties and get out of our own suffering. So the Memento Mori card that clarifies this Eight of Swords says, in teeny tiny writing, choice feeds fate. So it's smoking. We fate ourselves to a premature death by choosing the momentary pleasure of smoking. I'm not lecturing anybody. I'm just referring to what the card means. The thing is, it's a choice to have trust. It's a choice to communicate. We're going to stay in this mess if we choose to keep these attitudes and secretiveness and pulling ourselves alone in our special places. The middle card, finally, we have a Major Arcana card in the Magician. We have all the elements we need, everything to make magic and make alchemy, to connect as above, so below. If you know, sometimes this card in certain decks has a lemniscate, that's the alpha sign, as above, so below. So we do have everything we need to manifest some profound things. The card that clarifies it is interesting. It's a they, them. Somebody who looks like they're wearing a ballet skirt, but they are a two-spirit person. This could be an ancestor, this could be a living person, but it's somebody who's quite expanded. They're in their spirit realm here. I'm not saying that they're deceased, but they're of a high spiritual nature, can come along to be what we call the Scabewus, the assistant to the magician, if you let them in. Ten of Rings. Everything we could want is at our disposal in the physical realm. This is endings of, accumulation. This is a happy life, happy legacy to pass forward. This is the end of a cycle that we can be completely pleased about. And what's interesting is it's clarified by another Major Arcana card. So we've got two so far. The Death card. And what it says is, detach yourself from the endings. Welcome the rebirth. And that's enjoy what you have, but don't stall, letting things move to another level. The Chariot. My dad used to say, go like stink, like go. And this is the no lions, no horses, no chariots. This is the bicycle. But there's an aura around this chariot rider. They're going and they're not second guessing. They're not doing anything like that. And they're clarified by the Knight of Pentacles. Interesting. We go from the 5 feeling destitute to the 10 to the Knight. So we've got the power of the Knight, and this Knight is very logical, bomb-proof in the sense of makes decisions by observation, doesn't rush about anything. So that says to me that we can rush because this dude has our back. Dude or dudette, they're not really gendered at all. And finally, we come to the 5 of Wands. Now, this is a point to stop and assess We had the Five of Rings here. Now we have the Five of Wands, which talks about play, jousting, and kind of getting embroiled in other people's stuff. This is not what is meant by communing here. Letting go of secrets. It's a different energy in this context. We aren't meant to stop the energetic flow of the Chariot by getting embroiled in things that sideswipe us, so to speak. We need to know what's real and what needs our attention. So it's a warning here not to be engulfed in matters that serve no purpose except distraction, perhaps. And conflict, even in play jousting, is a lower vibration than any of this here. And the clarifier is the thoughts of injustice. We need to remember, it says very clearly, this may have erupted because we feel an injustice has been hurled at us. Somebody is claiming something that isn't true, perhaps. The injustice card says, people are my allies. Very clearly, we are to see people in that role as supporters. Seek the supporters. Do not stop and get ground down by those who are not supportive, who are envious, who are just making noise, who are frustrated. That's not your wheelhouse, nor mine. There is no timeline necessary for this reading because it's all about now to the end of this moon cycle and the next. So this is all happening over the next 6 to 7 weeks. You can flip the camera, Brian. I find that powerful. I find this important for me personally. This could have been a personal reading. I tend to step back if I'm embroiled in something that is disturbing me and I don't reach out. It's taken me 30 years sometimes to talk to Brian about things which are, to me, secrets. So I get it. I stop my progress by not engaging. In a wise way, we need to always engage with the right people in the right way, the way of right relationship, as my grandmother would say. Anyway, thank you for getting to this part, and as always, please like, subscribe, and a comment always helps bring YouTube's attention to us so that we can be spread about to others who might value this message. So, in the name of the Creator, I thank you, and bright blessings from us. Aho.